have Glen Tobias here with me tonight as our presenter. Glen has presented for us before and his programs have been well attended at the library, so I'm glad that this virtual room is beginning to fill up. Glen is a sports performance nutritionist who has been working with NFL, MLB, and professional mixed martial arts athletes for the past 7 years. He is a registered dietitian nutritionist with a master's degree in clinical nutrition from NYU. He has been providing nutritional counseling for over 25 years in Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey, and he's currently the team nutritionist for the Boston Red Sox. He previously worked with the Jets, Atlantic Sports Health, and Manhattan Sports Medicine, so I'd like to welcome Glen tonight. One quick thing, if you want to ask Glen questions, we're going to be using the question and answer feature of Zoom. You could type your question in there. If Glen feels that he can answer it on the spot, he will. Otherwise, we'll leave time at the end. So Glen, thanks for being here. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. We go over a couple of different things tonight, but really part of it is going to be how to avoid the quarantine couple, or basically putting on pandemic pounds, because everybody's stuck at home. We all are snacking more, eating more, and I just want to go over how to food shop better, more efficiently, so we can limit our time in the store. So let's go through. I have a couple of different slides to go through. I wanted to go through this with you. So here's some tips. Everyone knows the freshman 15. I'm calling it the quarantine couple. We want to basically deal with these unprecedented times, and people have a lot of fear and anxiety and stress. And when people are scared and stressed out, tend to eat more and we snack more. So we have to be consistent, and that's really what it's going to be about. We want to make sure we stay in good health. We want to make sure that our immune system is at full power. There's a lot of talk right now online and about boosting your immune system. You really can't boost it, but what we can do is a few different things to help make it more powerful, stay as powerful as it needs to be. So let's go to number one, keeping a schedule. I think this is actually critical, because most people right now are going to bed way too late, going to bed way too late and waking up much later. So the whole day is shifted. So it's called sleep hygiene. Ideally, what you'd want to do is go to bed at the same time every single night. And I understand that some nights are a little bit later than others, but around the same time, and wake up at the same time every morning. This consistency is going to help you build your day. Now, I have a schedule that I'm going to bring up in a minute, but you really want to plan it out. What time you're going to wake up, what time you're going to go to bed, and in between all the meals you're going to have. So for me, I usually recommend most people to eat about 6 times a day instead of the 3 that everybody knows, the breakfast, the lunch, and the dinner. Everybody knows this. That's what they give you in prison, and that's so you don't die. My point is we want to optimize your health and your energy. That being said, what I want to do is give you a breakfast, a brunch, a lunch, the dunch. Everyone always makes fun of it. The dunch is the meal between lunch and dinner that you eat around 3 or 4 o'clock every day. The dinner, and that's usually at 6 or 7, and then you have your supper, something to have before you go to bed, because most people, that's when they tend to quote unquote snack. So number 1, being sleep hygiene. Number 2, eat by the clock. So you know what time it is, you know it's time to eat. You can put an alarm in your phone, ready to go. You don't have to wait. Do not wait for hunger. So when you get hungry, the issue is you crave. And when you crave high fat, high salt, quote unquote junk food. So when you do go food shopping, if you don't buy it, you can't eat it. You're just less likely to get yourself into trouble. So let's see here. Hunger. Let's talk a little bit about hunger scale. Hunger and appetite are 2 very different things. Eating 6 times a day at the same time every day, mixing that protein, fat, and carb together. So think of that, your stomach like a furnace, and I'm trying to build a perfect fire. Carbohydrates burn like paper very quickly. Protein are the sticks a little slower, and fat, the logs, even slower. So you want to make sure you're getting paper, sticks, and logs at every meal. And doing that, eating according to the clock, you're really not going to be as hungry. So that's going to take care of hunger. That's physiological need. So this is a hunger scale, physiological need. And we've all been, 2, 3, very hungry, uncomfortably hungry. If you get to 1 and you don't have a plan of action, you're in a lot of trouble. So we want to make sure that all the meals are planned and the timing is there. Now, here's the thing. Appetite comes into play because we get bored, we're tired, we're anxious, we're stressed out, the unknown. I mean, this is, these are unprecedented times. So it's very important to understand the difference between the hunger and the appetite. So if I take care of the hunger by giving you all these meals during the day that are balanced, the proteins, fats, and carbs, and we take the hunger out, now we just have to deal with appetite. And again, part of that is not giving into the cravings. And if you don't have the food in the house, it's much harder to go get it than it used to be. So that plays into our favor. So we talked about the balancing. We want to deal with the protein, fat, and carb ratio. To keep your immune system running optimally, fruits and vegetables are even more important than they were before. A lot of people say to me all the time, but I don't really like vegetables. It's okay, you don't really have to like them, but they are important for you. So if you don't like them, eat them at the beginning of the meal when you're the quote unquote hungriest. It'll get it done. Just eat it because it is important. So you want a protein, you want a nice healthy fat, some carbohydrate, and definitely some vegetables in each meal. So balancing the meal is important. Let's drink some water. So you have to hydrate. A lot of people, since the schedule has been turned upside down, the water cooler at work is not available, or they don't bring their swells to work anymore because work is really, could be the kitchen table. I don't even know. So maintaining that hydration, because once you're thirsty, it is too late. You're already dehydrated. So we don't want to be dehydrated. You want to make sure that your urine is clear or pale yellow. Again, don't want to be thirsty. So once you're thirsty, you're dehydrated, and you don't want your urine to be too yellow. I did write something in here about if you're taking a multivitamin, one of the B vitamins is phosphorescent, so it's going to look yellowish green, and people think you're peeing out all your vitamins. You're not. It's just phosphorescent, and you couldn't absorb all of that at one time. So I do recommend, if the vitamin is a 2-a-day product, to take one after breakfast and one after dinner. It's definitely a better way to go. I'm also a big fan of liquids without bubbles, without sugar. I don't want you to drink your calories. So soda would be something that I wouldn't recommend. Just drink plain water. Everyone always asks, well, how much should I drink? Glenn, what's the best amount? I can't give you a perfect because I don't know each individual person. I usually make a recommendation of whatever you're drinking now is probably okay because you're surviving. My job is to optimize you. So let's drink one more glass of water today than you did yesterday. And you keep moving it up. And I wrote down here about 64 up to 100 ounces. I mean, some of the bigger guys that I work with in terms of professional athletes are at the gallon, 128 ounces. And that's good. You can challenge your family that you're quarantined with, who's drinking more water, and it's just going to make you feel better. So this is something that's very important. Again, if it's in your schedule, I know I have a lot of people who put drink water into their phone, they schedule it. So every 20, 25 minutes, a little alert goes off to drink water because most people just don't think about it. So if you think about it, you'll do it. Again, I have one client, she works at 2 different desks in her house, and she's hasn't been drinking much water. So I asked her every morning when she sets up her desks to put 2 glasses of water at each desk. Now they'll be sitting right in front of her and she'll remember to drink them because before she just wasn't. So we have to do what works for us. All right, here's a nice hydration chart for you. You want to stay at the pale yellow area If it goes to brown, you have a big problem. You're really in trouble and you need to get medical attention. So let's keep it pale yellow, light yellow. That would be a great thing for you to do. I'm going to leave this up for a minute so you guys can take a look. All right. Okay. So since my company's name is E3, it's eating, it's exercise, it's education, I have to put in stay active. So ideally, if you have a strength coach as an athlete or a coach or a personal trainer, I would highly recommend you speak to them. Get an individualized workout. They know you best. They know your sport. Let's get it done. Speak to them. If you don't have anybody, get up and walk around. You cannot sit at a computer all day and think that that's going to be fine. It's not. You have to get up. I'm not saying you have to go play competitive sports, but you should get up and walk around. You can work. There are standing desks people have. Stand at the kitchen counter, not necessarily eating, but you can stand at the kitchen counter and work on your computer there. Again, in your schedule, you should have a workout every day. Some kind of bodyweight workout, whether it's the push-ups and the sit-ups and the leg lifts, things like that. That's great. Just get it done. There are hundreds, thousands online right now. So you can take a look and see what's working best for you and go from there. Here's some don'ts. I gotta give some don'ts. Don't go to bed too late. Try to keep a normal schedule because they say that if you go to sleep the same time, let's say Monday through or Sunday through Thursday, that's great, but then the Friday and the Saturday is much later. That's like being jet lagged every single week, and that is absolutely not good for hormonal regulation, energy output, and again, we want to make sure that that immune system is at full power. So we want to make sure that you are going to bed at the same time every night, roughly. Alcohol. See, this is a big one because I know liquor stores are considered essential and they're doing very well because everybody is stressed out, has a lot of anxiety, and they want to drink to relax. And that's great. And I understand it. Sometimes you need it, but it is, when they say empty calories, it's empty. It goes directly to body fat storage. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200 directly to fat. So that is absolutely counterproductive to your goal. And now, once you have a couple of drinks, your food choices could be suboptimal, and they will lead you down the wrong path for food. Another one would be tobacco. They do weaken immune system. They are unhealthy. Everyone out in your house will hate that you are smoking. So this is literally the perfect time to stop smoking because now you don't have to go out and buy more, save you money. And going to the store and buying cigarettes is just, you're exposing yourself. So why go out if you don't have to? So I highly recommend trying to stop. Keeping the high sugar foods away. So I always refer to this as like when you have a shark with blood in the water and the feeding frenzy begins. Once you have a little bit of sugar, you turn that on and you can't stop. A lot of the foods that are high in sugar, whether they're candies or even chips, they're designed. They know how much sugar, fat, and salt are in these products, and it's on purpose, no accidents. So none of these foods are cooked. They are created. There are teams of people working on them, and they are what they call hyper palatable. So no one's ever had, I'm going to eat 7 Doritos and I'll put this bag away. That doesn't happen. So ideally, avoid them. Avoid them if you can.
Glenn, I know you usually welcome questions throughout, so we did get one. We had someone ask, why is seltzer worse than water? Still water.
That's a good question. Due to the carbonation. Carbonation, being carbonic acid, is very acidic. And I always tell people, if you don't realize how acidic it is, next time you drink some seltzer, take a big mouthful and don't swallow it. And put it in there. And it's going to burn. You're going to feel it burning your mouth, but then you swallow it and that's in your stomach. So your body has to maintain equilibrium, balance between acid and base. you drink the seltzer, and the body has all this acidity in it. First of all, it's not great for your joints. So if you have any kind of joint pain, I highly discourage you from having it. But also, the body's going to maintain equilibrium, so it needs a basic or alkaline substance to balance you out, and it can leach calcium from your bones, leading to fracture, so osteoporosis, osteopenia. The human body was never designed to take in carbonated beverages. No, they are tasty, and everyone every now and then is fine, but if that's a main fluid source for you, I would discourage it, and especially if you have joint pains and aches or an athlete, I would definitely discourage it.
Got it. Thanks.
So what to buy at the store? Everyone seems to want to buy a lot of toilet paper, and I really don't know why. You have a couple rolls, and that should be pretty good till the next time you go food shopping. But what you should do, and when I went to Costco weeks ago at this point, there was no toilet paper, there was no bottled water. I don't know why people think that the water is going to be shut off. But I went over to the tuna. I had to put some tuna, the safe catch. I mean, I don't know, this is just tuna fish. This is yellowfin. I usually also recommend skipjack because it's these are lower in mercury. And I like this brand because they test for mercury. But the point is there was a ton of tuna fish. There was a ton of, sardines. I always have to talk about sardines because it's the best food nobody's eating. Everybody always yucks them. At the bottom right there, it says, try them before you yuck them. You may love them. You never know. Canned salmon. There was plenty of these foods, peanut butter. These are the things that you can buy. So I go with what I call a 3-tier system when you go food shopping. You buy fresh, and that's great. So that's your first tier. That's the one when you get it home, you eat all of the fresh fruits, vegetables, things first. Okay, great. So deal with that. Then you have your second tier, which is frozen, which can be as nutrient dense as fresh, or even more so, because it hasn't been sitting on a truck or in a store. You don't even know how long it's been out. So frozen is great. That's your second tier. But the issue with tier 2 is you don't really know, well, you do know, how much storage space do you have? Like I have a refrigerator and freezer in my kitchen, and I have a small one in the garage. Once that's full, it's over. So I can't just buy frozen. I have to really make sure it's the right amount, if you will, to fit. So once it's all full, I'm done. So that would be your second tier. Third tier being canned fruits and vegetables. I mean, we've all bought canned tomatoes. These are great. Canned beans. You can rinse them to lower the sodium content. And then you can also get into your canned fruit. And this one is in light syrup, or even better, would be in its own natural juice. So then you have cans for the proteins. You can do cans for fruits and vegetables. Outstanding. And to store them is easy because you technically can store them anywhere, even in a hallway or in a garage, which is nice and cool. Be great. But again, I had plenty of opportunity to buy them when I was in Costco, and other things were sold out, and I didn't understand why. But you can buy pasta sauce and pastas and rice. I mean, they're canned potatoes. People don't buy canned potatoes very often, but you can do that. Crackers, these things last a long time, and it's a great way to go. So that's the 3-tier system, and then there's technically a 4th tier, and that would be more of a freeze-dried product. So this one is actually from Mountain House Adventure Meals. The good part of this is it expires in 2049, which is great. So you can put this on a shelf. This is chicken fajita bowl, 2 servings. Super convenient, super light because it's just been dehydrated. You add water to it, good to go. So there's a 3-tier system, but then that's your 4th tier. That's your emergency. When you can't get to the store, I have freeze-dried food, which is outstanding. Not many people have actually tried it, but it is good. Let's talk a little bit about food storage. So canned goods, they say can put 2 years. I mean, some of them are even longer, so I'm not really concerned. But you can see the pantry, which is really almost unlimited. So mayo, nut butters, that's all great. You can leave them out. Once you're open, the mayo needs the fridge at that point. but dairy and eggs, you have your meat, and I have another, so you can see here, this is actually, I like this a lot. Food safety. Everyone knows to wash their hands now, which is great, but you have to also clean your area that when you bring in the groceries, you have to clean the area that you're working on. You have to clean all the canned goods and the boxes. And you want to separate everything so you don't cross-contaminate. Once you cook, you have to then, again, put it into containers and put it in the refrigerator. So you don't want things in the danger zone. You don't want to leave it out for 1 to 2 hours. You want to get it into the fridge. And this is a question I get all the time, and this is actually a great sheet, an infographic of what food can be frozen and what shouldn't be frozen. So a lot of things with high water content, like lettuce and celery, they don't freeze very well. I mean, the answer to the question is, can you freeze these things? The answer, yes, you can freeze them. But when you freeze a watermelon, it's not going to come out great. Bread, when you buy bread in the store now, buy a couple of extra loaves and put them in the fridge. I mean, put them in the freezer and then just toast them when you're ready to go. So the whole side on the right that is okay to freeze, outstanding. And you should buy extra. Again, if you have the room in the freezer, that's your second tier, get it done. Get it done. It'll last longer and you're good to go. Some more. There's 100 foods that freeze well. Everyone knows ground meat, things like that. Pizza dough is great, so you guys can make pizzas. So there's 100 different things right there. Let's see. Okay. I wanted to go over this. So basically, talking about some supplementation and things to help you avoid the scams that are out there. Everyone, I see that there's a lot of immune boosters. And again, there's really no such thing. If you're taking an NSF certified for sport multivitamin, you're good to go. That's going to help your immune system stay at full power. Again, sleeping, hydration, food intake. These are all going to help you avoid putting on those extra pounds. Again, we're going to take the hunger out of the equation. It'll limit how much quote unquote junk food you have in the house, and you'll be good to go. That's my contact information, so if anybody would want that. But I want to bring up one other sheet that I like. I have a, oh, here it is. Share this. Can you see that? You see the sheet? Okay, great. Good. All right, so this is your wake up, your bedtime. You put in the times that are going to work for you. And I just put in a basic breakfast, brunch, lunch, lunch, dinner, supper. So 8, 10. I mean, if your breakfast is at 9, you could do 11 or even 11:30 for brunch. But I like the 8, 10, 12, 12:30. Then you have a 3 o'clock lunch, which is critical. You don't really want to quote unquote snack it. You want to have a real meal. So it can even be considered like lunch number 2. So whatever you made for lunch, you can make just 2 of it. Whatever you had for dinner last night can be lunch or lunch today. Dinner, and then supper. Supper, you want to make sure your supper is a little bit lower in carbohydrate, and I would have it higher in protein and fat. So let's say you wanted to make a shake, because a lot of people make shakes at night. So there'll be 1 scoop of whey protein would work with a tablespoon of natural peanut butter or almond butter, with maybe 8 to 10 ounces of 2% milk. And if you wanted to go with a plant-based protein and an oat milk, that works well too, with the nut butter, because you want to have that higher fat and good amount of protein before bed. So in terms of the term snack, I don't really use it very often. I mean, you consider it more, you can consider it a light meal. So whether it's a 2% Greek yogurt, low-fat cottage cheese, half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, those are light meals / snacks. That's really good. And I just want to keep the meals in terms of caloric content from breakfast all the way through supper kind of close. Most people will eat a small breakfast, then they eat a quote unquote healthier lunch, so like a salad with some grilled chicken, and then they said that I was good all day, and then they eat dinner and they kill it, they crush it. Then they got to lay on the couch and wish they were dead. That's not ideal. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you try to spread those calories out through the whole day. That's going to make you feel better, and that's important. And it's going to help you sleep better at night too. So in the bubbles on this sheet, it says aim for 6 meals a day. Don't forget to drink more water. That's huge. We've been cooking more as a family, and that helps. It just makes it more fun, get everyone involved. I wrote down in the yellow one, it says, remember to be forgiving. You can't beat yourself up. There's no such thing as a bad food. See, everybody always says, oh, I was bad. I ate pizza. Pizza's not bad. Pizza's delicious. Sometimes you have to feed the soul. Sometimes you have to just say, it's going to make me feel better. You know, the meatloaf and mashed potatoes, or the fried chicken, something that makes you feel good. That's important too. Don't neglect that. Don't eat it every day, or then that quarantine couple, those pounds are going to come right on, because our mobility is usually less because we're in the house. We're not out and about. So don't beat yourself up. Like I said, there's no such thing as a bad food. There are degrees of better. I get that, but there's no bad. Don't make yourself feel bad about it. Add a personal workout to your routine. So this schedule that I wrote out, I just didn't put in where the workout is, because mine changes every day depending on my work schedule and what have you. But the daily plan of action is critical. If you're winging it, that leads to you feeling uncomfortable. You're starting the day late. You've already probably missed breakfast. You probably missed brunch. You wake up, you're eating lunch, so already you're behind in calories for the day. And it just throws your whole day out of whack. And then you realize, well, the day's already gone. And I didn't do it. Like, it's not the best. You can put in, if you're a student, you put in the times that you're in school. If you're working, you put in your work times. So that would be great. So I use this with my family. I think it's great. And people can do that too.
It's a really nice chart.
Thank you.
We have a question about caffeine. So this person said, can you please talk about caffeine intake and when is best? Will it improve a 45-minute run beforehand? And they said, many thanks.
Okay, well, caffeine in general, I try to limit it. People use it habitually and really don't get the increase in energy that they could because they do it all the time. If you do it once in a while, I get it. If you're over 18, I get it. As a rule of thumb, I try to have people avoid it because it is an appetite suppressant, not an appetite eliminator. So that appetite suppressant means you're not feeling hungry while it's in your system, but that hunger is building in the background. And when it's released, it can be powerful. So you eat more later. A lot of times people will have, coffee and they don't feel hungry and they don't eat breakfast. But that hunger is building and then you eat more later. So will it help a run? It can. If you're drinking 2 cups of coffee every single day, really doing what it's designed to do. It's just bringing you back to a baseline. It's not giving you that bump in energy anymore. You're just taking that coffee so you don't get a headache.
Yeah. Could you talk a little bit more about the difference between appetite and hunger?
Sure. Hunger is a physiological need for calories and energy. The body is hungry. It's calling for food. That happens if you don't eat after 3, 4, 5, 6. You feel like the hunger is building. Now, here's appetite. Ready? You go out for dinner. You eat your meal. You're content, but you still order a slice of cheesecake. You're not hungry. You didn't say, wow, that chicken parm wasn't enough. I need more food. Let me order, ice cream. That never happens. You're eating that, that's appetite. That's just because it's delicious. That's because it makes you feel good. And that's important. I get it, but you just don't want to do that all the time. So
right. So is your outline, like your chart from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., is that more like eating because you know you should be eating versus eating at all those times because you're hungry? Like you said earlier.
I'm trying to have you avoid being hungry. I don't want to be hungry. So when it's lunchtime and you're like, yeah, I didn't really want to eat lunch. I wasn't hungry. Then I say, perfect, just eat it. Because I'm your energy in coach. All the athletes I work with have coaches for the sport, coaches for the position, strength coaches, all those energy out coaches. I'm the energy in coach.
Right.
You eat a certain amount of times through the day, really, to prevent that hunger from building, to keep that blood sugar up, energy output up, amino acid pool for your muscles so they can grow, because the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn. So everything works.
Yeah.
And that's where the hunger avoidance is huge. Appetite is just because you want to have it.
All right, we still have 31 people tuned in. I'd encourage anyone who has a question to use the Q&A feature.
So for people who have, other medical conditions, it's imperative that they keep their immune system at full power.
Mm-hmm.
Diabetes or heart disease, COVID-19 is definitely more detrimental to them. So it's critical to keep your immune system up. Again, the things you need to remember: sleep hygiene every night, same night you go to bed, wake up the same time. Hydrate, water, make sure you're fully hydrated. That's huge.
I'm happy to ask questions while we wait. I mean, one question that I have that I know a lot of my colleagues and I have been experiencing with people working from home, what do you do about sort of not feeling tired because you kind of didn't use enough of that energy that you're used to using during the day?
Okay, so then let's back it up. First, we should definitely make sure you're doing the workout.
Yep.
That's number one. Number two, how many steps did you do that day? What is your goal for the day?
Yeah.
These are the things you have to back it out first, because you may not be expending enough energy. But feeling tired doesn't necessarily mean that that's when you should go to bed. It's like being hungry doesn't mean that's the time you should be eating. Again, it's time to go to bed. Close your eyes, and you will fall asleep. Sometimes, if people have a harder time, I recommend tart cherry juice. Like I showed this. This is one of the brands I've worked with. But tart cherry juice is a natural anti-inflammatory for the body, so it's going to help your body basically rest. And then it's got natural melatonin, so it's going to help you sleep.
Awesome. Now the questions are rolling in. Here we go.
Okay, yeah. So a couple pop up.
Someone asked if there are any foods and vitamins you'd recommend to improve joint health.
Joint health, sure. First of all, I would go more of an anti-inflammatory diet, first of all. So I would limit alcohol. I would limit maybe some conventional red meat, keep the beef. If it's going to be beef, maybe fed lean beef a couple times a week. But in terms of supplementation, I'm a fan of omega-3 fish oil. I know my family takes it. I actually keep forgetting to give it to the kids, so I had to put an alarm in my phone to make sure I give the kids the omega-3 fish oil. I use curcumin, which is a component of turmeric, which is a spice found often in Indian food. Super good anti-inflammatory. Ginger, also anti-inflammatory. So those are the things that I would recommend people take in general.
Awesome. Someone's asking if you could bring back up the hunger graph that you showed with hydration.
So let's see here. Let's see. Hunger. You can see that one, correct?
Yep. So the other one was that hydration scale.
Sure, I'll back them up.
Yep, take your time.
Going through some don'ts. Let's see here. Stay active. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Hydration. Oop. All right, there it is.
Thanks.
You want to make sure your urine is pale yellow. If you're going into the golden, I would recommend definitely drinking a glass or two of water. And if it's going into the dark, you need to go get medical attention and you're really not drinking enough. By that, I'm sure you're probably going to get a headache because a lot of people get headaches pretty frequently. And most of the time it's just as you're drinking. There you go. Nice. It's probably just some chronic mild dehydration because most people just don't drink enough for optimization. See, everybody drinks enough for survival. That's fine. But if you're thirsty, you don't want to wait for thirst. So put it on the schedule. So you said, what was the other one you wanted me to?
I think you already pulled it up. It was that hunger scale.
Oh, but I didn't really leave it up very, there it is.
Yeah, you can leave it up for a minute now. We had two people ask basically the same question. One person said, are there any specific foods that boost the immune system? Another person said basically the same thing, any food, herbs, or supplements that could help boost the immune system. So can you speak about like nutrition and immunity?
No, nothing like that. There's nothing going to boost it. That's
no magic answer.
Yeah, it's more of a scam. Immune boosters. No, don't do it.
What about the whole vitamin C thing?
If you're taking a multivitamin, you're getting your vitamin C. You should be having some fruits and vegetables like we talked about. There's vitamin C there. You're going to get plenty. You'll have enough, and that'll be fine. I was just going to make a comment on this hunger scale. You realize that the number 10 holidays built around that number 10 being Thanksgiving, one of them. Eating till you're painfully full.
Oh yeah.
So
been there.
Yeah, I'm trying to have people stay at the 4 to 6. Now after a meal, yeah, I mean, I'm fine with a 7, but you shouldn't be 8 or you shouldn't feel to the point where, oh. But also to help with that, a big help with that is actually speed of eating. Most people eat way too quickly, and it takes about 20 minutes before your stomach stretches, the stretch receptors in your stomach send a signal to your brain that says you're full, stop eating. So it's that long. So if you eat in 4 minutes, you really have no idea that there's food in your stomach yet. Your body has no idea. So then you eat, and all of a sudden then you go, oh, God, I ate too much. Calories already, way too many calories are in. And in terms of, the quarantine couple or pandemic pounds coming on, for sure. If you eat slower, you will feel fuller on less food and feel better post-meal. Energy will be better.
Right. The next question, another coffee one. This person says, I'd like to avoid caffeine, but I love coffee. Is drinking decaf okay?
It's definitely better. It's definitely a better, I always consider it a better bad food choice. Coffee's fine. There's a lot of antioxidants in coffee. I mean, there's studies that show it's good. I just don't want all the caffeine. So, I would do a decaf. I would try some herbal teas because tea, there's either regular tea, then there's decaf tea, and then there's herbal tea. So there's really 3 kinds of tea. So there's regular, has caffeine. Decaf tea means that they took the caffeine out of it. So it had caffeine at one point, then they removed it. And herbal tea I never had caffeine. So try some herbal tea. You may like it. If you don't like it hot, ice it.
Right.
But if you like the taste of coffee, then you can go with decaf and see how that goes. Because there's a little bit of caffeine in there, but not too much.
So I know you just gave some advice on this. Eating slower can help you to avoid overeating, but this person wants to know they said, how can I avoid overeating? So are there other words of advice you could suggest?
Plan the meal. Don't wing it. Avoid winging anything and everything. If you plan your meal and you know you're going to have a cup of rice for yourself, cooked cup, then that's what you're having. Eat slow, enjoy it, and be done. So that's a great way. So basically it's regulated eating. So you know exactly what you're going to eat, you know when you're going to eat it, and you're going to eat it over a 15-minute or 20-minute time period. That's fantastic.
Right.
Also, what can help you with your appetite is, with your hunger, would be drinking water. Because a lot of times people, the hunger and thirst mechanism gets confused. And a lot of times you're just thirsty and you're not even that hungry. So when you're hungry, and if it's not meal time, drink a couple glasses of water. That may do it.
We actually have a water question. Someone said, do you have any recommendations to drink water before or after or during a meal?
See, a lot of people, there's talk about if you drink water during a meal, you're diluting your digestive juices. You're going to absorb all the food. Your body's amazing at it. So that won't happen if you drink water. I recommend drinking water all through the day, before, during, after, whatever makes you comfortable. Some people don't like to drink water while they eat. Other people like to. So if you get more water in, I'm a fan.
Great. So another question, can you recommend a few exercises that are good to build in throughout the day?
I would recommend, again, like I said, I would highly recommend speaking to, if it's a team, your coach, a strength coach, or a personal trainer. There are outstanding personal trainers right now doing live work. See what interests you, what you would enjoy doing, and what you'll continue to do. So it's not about what I would recommend. It's what you like and what you'll continue doing. That's the best. Consistency is everything.
Great. If you want to get out of your screen share mode right now while we're going back and forth, it'll just make our faces bigger if you want.
Okay.
It's up to you. You just stop the share. Perfect. Another question.
There are things that are fun. There are things that are fun in terms of, dancing, like a Zumba class.
Oh, I love Zumba.
So for people who don't quote unquote exercise a lot, they may want to do something like that where they're going to dance and get some exercise. Right.
You're right though. A lot of fitness instructors are taking it to online, whether it's YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Instagram, their own.
All of them.
Yeah, it's really impressive. Here's a question. This person says, I'm pregnant and I've been eating well-rounded meals at regular times, kept my water intake up to par most days, sleeping regularly. However, I've gained more weight than I should for my first trimester. The biggest change has been switching to virtual workouts and the lack of outdoor walks instead of working out 4 times a week like I used to, and walking more. Is there anything to curb the weight gain while keeping the baby healthy?
Well, I would say you can continue to walk. You can walk outside still. We're allowed to be outside, just don't be right next to people. So the walking could come back up, that's fine. But Tai Chi, that's a great thing to do for relaxation as well as exercise. So that's something that's great. Well-balanced meals, make sure that the quantity, it's about portion control at that point. So you want to maybe go with some nutrient-dense foods, but just make sure that
Thanks.
That would be a big help.
So another question, how much protein per day should a 50-year-old male get who exercises daily, pretty intense, about a half hour a day?
I would recommend that person email the customer service at e3wms.com, because I can't just answer that. There's so much that goes into it.
Very personalized.
Height, weight, body fat percentage, sports that they do, a million different things, what foods that they like to eat.
Right.
Yeah, I can't really answer that. I would like to, but I'm unable.
Any other questions from the audience or anything else you want to add, Glenn? This was great.
No, just got to make sure that to avoid this, these pandemic pounds and the quarantine couple, it's just, you have a plan of action. You can't wing it. These foods can't be convenient to you, the junk foods that you like. You don't want to deal with the stress and the anxiety by using alcohol, because they go right to fat storage. So you don't want that. You want to make sure that you're drinking enough water, you're sleeping well, you're outside when you can. I know in my yard with the kids, I just take the ball and we take a baseball and we throw it around, because I get outside, get to breathe some fresh air.
Absolutely. It helps with the nice weather.
Sure.
We had 2 people say in the chat, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. And yeah, well, you gotta be able to call your friends, go to the backyard. Just don't eat. There's other things you can do. There's other ways to alleviate stress.
Someone asked about, what about considerations for a moderately low carb diet or a low meat diet? Do you have any opinions about either?
I'm not a fan of, but the main fuel source of the human body is carbohydrates. So I would not do a low carbohydrate diet. I recommended for supper, the meal right before bed, to be lower carbohydrate, because you just don't need that energy in right before bed. I want a higher fat. This fat slows food leaving the stomach. So I want the food in the belly longer when you're going to bed. I wouldn't recommend the low carb. You said a low meat in terms of like beef or animal protein in general.
I'm not quite sure. They just said low meat diet.
Maybe they mean animal protein in general. No, it's a higher biological value protein. And I think that lean, grass-fed beef, lamb, bison, pasture-raised chicken, those are all good sources of protein. Fish, fantastic. Big fan of fish. Less crustacean, but you can still, crustacean would be fine.
Is the supper at 9 o'clock sort of to keep you satisfied, like while you're sleeping? Like why the 9 o'clock time? I'm just curious.
Well, because most people are watching TV and they want to eat something. So
yeah. I get hungry right before bed too. So I'm glad that you said that, because you hear those things like, oh, don't eat after 7, but. Right.
Well, if you're unregulated, I agree with that. But if you are regulated, like we're trying to be, what
exactly.
time dinner typically 6 o'clock? By 9 o'clock, you need to eat again.
Sure.
Chips or ice cream, and that's suboptimal. I don't want to say it's bad. It's suboptimal.
All right. Well, if no one has any more questions, I mean, Glenn and I will hang around for 2 or 3 more minutes if you have any lingering questions. But thank you so much, Glenn. This was great. Everyone seems super appreciative.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.